So we're going to have a look at measures of spread, how much a set of data is spread out. And two of the calculations that we can do for that are range and interquartile range. When you have to do the range, that's the highest number, the maximum number, subtract the lowest number. So it's the max, take the minimum number, and you'll get an answer, you'll get a value. The range for a set of numbers is not, don't say it's 2 to 9. The range is mathematically a single number, the highest number take the lowest number. Now the interquartile range, have a think about inter. Where have you ever heard that before? Think of that maybe inter-school. When you have an inter-school sports carnival, that's a carnival between the schools. So inter means between. So if we have a quartile range, it's between some quarters, that sounds like, and it's a range again. So it's a high number take a low number. So if you had a set of data and you were to split it into 4 quarters, it's the between the middle two is what the interquartile range is. So we often call that just IQR because we can't be bothered writing the whole thing out. So it's technically called the upper quartile. I'm just going to write upper Q, take the lower quartile, but some textbooks that you'll see will call that the Q3, take Q1. We'll do an example where we can have a look at that and see how you calculate those. One way to think about these quarters, again, if you have this set of numbers split into 4, the Q1 is at the end of the first quarter, Q2, Q3, Q4, so it's the value there. Q2 is actually the median. So as we work this out now, I'll show you how to calculate that. Now, when you do the interquartile range, there's technically a set of steps that you need to do. So the first step would be to sort them into ascending order. So I'd encourage you to write down this set of steps. A sort into ascending, which means from the lowest up to the highest. Then from that set of numbers, you'd want to find the middle, which is the median. And then you're going to split that into 2. So I'm going to say find the median and split. And then last of all, you're finding the middle number of each of those 2 halves. So we're saying find the median of each half. All right, so let's write up an example there and work out these range and IQR. So for this set of numbers here, I want you to find the range and the IQR. The range is the highest number, take the lowest number, the max, take the min. So we could put them in order or we could just have a look through and find them. I'm going to actually put them in order first. There's no technique to do this. I mean, if you do have a graphics calculator, it could sort them out for you, but it's just a matter of going along and noting every number that you've got and sort of marking them off as you go. I'm just going to check my sheet here to make sure I do it right. I've got a 6, a 7. How many 8s have we got there? 3 8s, a 9, a 10, and an 11. All right, so they're all there. So to do the range for that set of numbers there, we can do the range is equal to max, take the min, highest number is 11, subtract the smallest number 2, and so this set of numbers has a range of 9. Now what about this interquartile range? Let's look at these steps that we decided on. First of all, sort into ascending. Good, we've done that. They're going up, ascending from lowest to highest. Next, we need to find the median, which is the middle number, and then split it. So that's where you have to count in and find the number that's sitting in the middle, or it might be between 2 numbers. So we mark 1 off each end, and we're counting in 1 at a time. I've done 3 in, 4 in, 5 in. So we have the middle number there is that 8. And then the advice is to split. So we split it into 2 halves. What about that number there? Does it go into either of the halves? No, it's kind of taken away, if you like, because it doesn't fit neatly. So here are our 2 halves. So 8 is actually the median, in case you need that for another question. So we're splitting it. Here's the lower half, and we now need to find the median of this lower half, and that would be our Q1. So 5 numbers here, we can see that the number sitting in the middle by itself is a 4. So I could call that the Q1 is 4. And then the top half, 5 numbers, the one sitting in the middle is the 9. So I'm going to call that the Q3. And then the question is to work out the IQR. So the interquartile range, which is, as you can see over here, Q3 take away Q1. Q3 is 9, and we're going to take away the 4 and leaving us with 5. So the interquartile range, it's the range within the middle 2 quarters, and that's sort of where the maybe 50% of the data happens, is what we say. Now, second example is I want to show you to when things happen slightly differently. I'm going to have that set of numbers, but we're just going to add in one number at the end. So I've written out that same set of numbers here, and I'm just going to add one number onto the end. I'm going to add a number really far away from the rest, which is called an outlier. I'm adding on 77, and I want to see, does that make much difference to our numbers? Might be a bit hard to see if I'm in the way a little bit. So let's work out our range again. Range is the maximum number, take the minimum number, so this time round it's 77 take away 2, leaving us with 75. So did that 77 have an impact on the range? Yeah, it had a huge impact, taking the range from 9 to 75. Does that outlier have much of an impact on the IQR, the quarters in the middle? Let's have a look. So how do we do this again? We need to sort into ascending. Good, we've done that. We need to find the middle of this set and split it. So we have to count in. I might count 3 at a time, counting 2 more in. Now, this time around the median is between the two 8s, so perhaps draw a line. So it's halfway between 8 and 8, which means it's still just 8. Median, or sometimes just shorten that to med. And now we've split it into 2 halves. Now we need to find the median, the middle of each of these halves. So let's work that out. We have 6 numbers in this bottom half, well, in both halves, and the middle will be between 4 and 6. So that means the Q3 is 5. That's not right. That's Q1. And then the middle of this top half is, again, after 3 numbers. So the Q3 here is between 9 and 10. What's that? 9.5. So if you're working out the interquartile range here, between 9.5 and 5, we subtract those 2, and that leaves us with 4.5. So just a couple of key words to remember here. So just finishing up here, imagining these 2 sets of numbers were goals scored from 2 different players playing in a netball season. These are some of the words that you might be asked to use to describe the players. So player 1 and player 2. Who is more consistent? So you'd look at these now, as you know, that they've all scored the exact same number of goals, except this player here, of course, probably unlikely here, scored 77 goals in one match. Now that's great. That means occasionally they can score heaps, but who's more consistent? What we do is we then look at the 2 sets of spread. Remember, this video is called measures of spread. The range, that means the smaller or shorter the range, the more consistent a set of data is. Same for the IQR. The smaller the IQR is, the more consistent that set of data is. And if you're looking at outliers, what do they have an impact on? Did they have much of an impact on the middle, the median? No, but they have quite an impact on the range there. That changed the range from 9 up to 75. But the IQRs didn't change much, by a half, and went down. So you might say that player 1 is more consistent in their scores, netball scores, and that these 2 are the measures of spread. So if you're ever asked to discuss the measures of spread for a set of data, you need to calculate the range and the IQR, and remembering that they are single values, it's not a range of numbers.